Brian Scalabrine joining us here. He's been on DP's show all the time. I can't believe we've never had him on the show before. From NBC Sports Boston, Brian Scalabrine. How are you, Brian?
I'm good. You know, if I knew you were a minivan guy, I also am a minivan guy. Yeah. I would have definitely came on like a year or two ago.
Have you ever driven a Honda Odyssey, Brian?
They're the best.
They are.
I don't understand why. Like a lot of these guys with their SUVs and their big Escalades and stuff like that, they got it all wrong. It's all about the minivan with the automatic doors. Like they don't have automatic doors that slide. The kids do love those.
Oh my gosh, they get in and out. It's incredible. So where did Rozier come from? Did you see anything coming on down this pike,
so
Brian?
Yeah, he's a freak of nature, and so here's like the recipe in the NBA for success, right? Athletic freak, and like you'll see some of these guys in college that aren't like just freaky athletic that don't do well with the next jump. He's extremely long. He is extremely competitive, and like the hardest thing when you're looking for a guy is how hard they work. But when you're a freak of nature and you're competitive and you get in the right environment, you're going to get better. So I don't think that Rozier takes these steps unless he's a part of this system, you know, for 3 years. But there's no doubt that when you look at the Celtics and the guys who are coming through here, you know, Brad and the coaching staff, and I give the entire assistant coaching staff just as much credit as I give the head coach on this one in developing guys from Evan Turner, Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley when he was here, to the guys now that are on the roster. So, I think Rozier has just been a big-time joy. And the fact that Kyrie Irving has been out, and it's easier to step up for 5 or 7 games. It's hard to do it over the course of 2 or 3 months.
Has he been around at all to mentor? Or been around, Brian, with this process?
Kyrie?
Yes.
Yeah, Kyrie's around at every home game. He doesn't travel for whatever reason. You know, I'm not really like that. No, I don't really care about that kind of stuff or whether a guy should or shouldn't. But he's there on the bench supporting his teammates, and he's not one of those guys that's kind of like moping that the team is having success. He's like super pumped up about everybody. I think, you know, being around LeBron those years in Cleveland has like really taught him how to be a leader. Now, whether it's LeBron does some things and I like what he did, or LeBron did different things that I don't like, right? But whatever it is, he's been a great leader to guys. He's always very complimentary. Even when he was playing so well and everyone was talking about the rest of the Celtics being not that good, he was always complimentary of all the guys. Loves Jason Tatum, a former Duke guy. So Kyrie has been not only just a great player for the Celtics, just his leadership has been second to none.
So is he going to – the question is how much will he be able to download – Brad Stevens, if there's anything to download about playing LeBron? I mean, how do you think that the fact that you have Kyrie at your disposal in any way, shape, or form, will it matter, or does Stevens really just have this thing cold anyway?
Yeah, no, I think it helps, obviously. Like, no one knows LeBron better than Kyrie, but, I mean, I think it's really going to come down to, like, you got to understand that the NBA is like the fine line between winning and losing, and everyone thinks it's – and even like Toronto – who we all feel like they got their doors blown off. I mean, that line is closer than people realize. But the difference between Toronto and the Celtics, I think the Celtics have 4, maybe even 5 guys that they can throw at LeBron, and they've had some experience. Like, they played against Giannis in the first round. They've played against Ben Simmons. I get it. Those guys aren't the same level. But, you know, the idea, like, these freaks of nature, 6'10", that can handle, and LeBron is better than both of those guys. But I think they got a formula for success, and I think they're going to make it, you know, his life tough. Now, is it actually going to be tough for him? You know, is it going to be one of those things where we're watching the first round, and every time it's like a 50-50 call in the NBA, he gets that call? Or when he needs to take it to another level, he takes it to another level, or J.R. Smith hits like 3 daggers. Like, I don't know if those things are going to happen, but I know the Celtics are going to be prepared to play him, and they're going to have bodies at him, and they're going to be more like Bogdanovich and Thad Young, as in not afraid of LeBron. They're not going to stare at him and wilter like at times we look like Toronto did.
Brian Scalabrine, NBC Sports Boston. Also, you can listen to him every weekday morning on Sirius XM NBA radio channel, joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show. Brad Stevens, does he deep down sit there wondering, how the hell did I not get a vote for Coach of the Year based on my peers?
That's weak, though, because not that he didn't get a vote, but I think like any time you're doing some type of Coach of the Year, MVP, or whatever it may be, I always think you should give 3 votes, 5 votes, right? Like 5, you should be able to pick more than one candidate. For those coaches to be in that position to only get one guy. And remember, this is at the end of the regular season where you have Philly just won 17 games in a row. Toronto has the best record in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics were 15-12 down the stretch, right? They had the great start, but down the end. Now we watched the playoffs and all this stuff. All those votes were in the regular season. So Brad's not mad, and no one else should be either, because based on the regular season, like Dwayne Casey deserved that. And there's going to be a little bit of that, like, hey, I'm going to vote for my boy. That's just the way guys are going to do it. There's no question about that. But I just think, like, people are overreacting to this, and another thing. So first, they should have like 3 guys or 5 guys. You should be able to vote for 5 guys. And then second, you got to just look at the regular season, end it there, and then let's talk about that. And also the coaches releasing this right now, I think it has to coincide with Dwayne Casey being on the hot seat up in Toronto. He's on the hot seat. Yeah, well, we just voted him Coach of the Year by his peers. So I don't think that anybody should be upset by this. It's kind of like a null and void point.
So how do you handicap the Western Conference Finals, Brian?
I don't think anybody can beat the Warriors. Like when Kevin Durant went there, it just messed up everything. And more credit to think of all the things that had to happen, like Klay Thompson and Draymond Green signing for $17-18 million when they're probably more like $30 million players. Steph Curry had the ankle. They had some flexibility with Barnes, who didn't take the extension. So more credit to them. And then the salary cap jumping, whatever it was, like $30 million. And all that stuff had to happen for the Warriors to get Durant, and more power to them for getting him. But at the end of the day, I don't understand how anybody matches up with them. You take Durant off that team, and you start placing him other places. You name a team, Rich. We could say Toronto, and I think Toronto beats Cleveland with Durant. If he was on our team, we'd be a shoo-in to go to the NBA Finals. If he was on Houston, you would say the same thing. But he's on the Warriors, who are already good. So I don't think how anybody has a chance to beat that team. I mean, they are so good. They share the ball. They play very new-age basketball. Not a lot of isolations. Not a lot of high pick and rolls. They're more cuts, off-the-ball movement. And they share they share the ball with each other. To me, they're unstoppable, at least for this year.
But weren't the Rockets essentially built for this series? I mean, Daryl Morey, the general manager, just flat out called it an arms race. It's an arms race. Certainly, that Durant stepped up by going to Golden State, and that this is it. This is it. They are built for this series to try and beat Golden State.
Yeah. So, but even if they were, and let's say even if they had the bodies, let's just say they did, like their style of play with the Chris Paul isolation, the James Harden isolations late in the clock, that's not going to get it done against the Warriors. It's just not. LeBron James is the best isolation player, like arguably the best isolation player in the NBA, gets whatever he wants in the playoffs, and he can't do it. So I don't know how James Harden and Chris Paul think that they're going to be able to do it. If you're going to beat the Warriors, you're going to have to defend at a high level, and you're going to have to share the ball and move bodies. And the Rockets do it to a certain extent with their initial action, but not enough where late in the clock they're going to go ISO on who. You tell me who James Harden is going to have the advantage. It's not Klay Thompson. It's not Draymond Green. It's not Kevin Durant. It's not Iguodala. He's not going to have it he'll score, but he's not going to have a major advantage over any of those guys late in the clock. And then missed shot, there go the Warriors out and running, moving bodies on the defensive end.
How would the Celtics match up?
They've done well against the Warriors because they guard all that off-ball movement. That's why the Philly series was so interesting. And I was just guilty as anybody, falling into the trap. But all the J.J. Redick, the Bellinelli cuts, like all that off-the-ball movement stuff, the Celtics, they have unbelievable game plan discipline when they stay with guys. So that's what the Warriors do. And then look at the numbers over the past 4 games, 2 seasons. And that's, with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant didn't play in some of those, or 2-2 during that time. But the Warriors the Celtics do a really good job of guarding the Warriors. But once you add in Kevin Durant, it just makes it it's virtually impossible to me to beat that team. But from a matchup standpoint, it would be a fun series. But I do think ultimately like as much as I want to pick the Celtics to beat LeBron, like somebody's got to prove to me that he's going to lose, and I don't know if this is the year that we're going to do it.
Brian, great chat. We're not going to lose your number, so I'd love to chat again real soon.
Have fun in your swagger wagon, all right?
That's what I'm trying to do. You got it.
All right.
You take care, Brian.
Yeah.
You guys, Brian Scalabrine.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.